right, thank you all for tuning in to WJT 98.3 FM, your voice and music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises LLC, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. So today, we're doing a quick segment on some must-read personal finance books. Basically, some books that I've read that have truly changed my life, and I say that with no, I basically mean that with very, very strong emphasis, and that these books have truly changed my life forever. These are books that I've personally read, and the content that's in the books and basically the way they were written are meant to elevate you to the next level. Without reading these books, I would not be anywhere I am, not even close to anywhere I am today. So I'll be sharing what those books are, and then giving you some additional books in order for you to look into, because education is everything. If you're not educating yourself, then I don't know what you're doing nowadays, because education is critical. A lot of people are even going back to school or taking some of these free online programs, really just to beef things up, because as we know, robots and technology are taking over the world. Soon restaurants like we know it won't be the same. You've seen the new normal where a lot of restaurants are open or operating outdoor now. But the new normal in the future will be that robots will be the ones actually giving you your food. So it's very important that we get a more high-skilled trades where we can actually leverage that knowledge, that differentiating factor that a robot can't necessarily do, in order to help our clients, in order to help society as a whole. Before we get into that though, let's get into the market report. This report is as of July 24th, 2020. Last week started off on a high note as stocks reached levels not seen since February. The NASDAQ gained 2.5% last Monday, led by a surge in Amazon and Zoom Technologies, soared to a record high following the publication of a positive COVID-19 vaccine results. And then ultimately, investors were encouraged by signs out of Washington that additional stimulus was on the way. The S&P 500 advanced 0.8% on the day, while the Dow's gain was negligible. The Russell 2000 recovered from a poor Monday by gaining 1.3% last Tuesday to lead the benchmark indexes listed. The global Dow rose 0.9%, buoyed by a new round of economic stimulus from the European Union, or EU for short. The Dow climbed 0.6%, and the S&P 500 inched up 0.2%. The NASDAQ retreated from its record high on Monday, giving back 0.8% last Tuesday. Wednesday saw equities rise despite an increased in tension between the United States and China, and then also Pfizer vaulted 5.1% on positive COVID-19 vaccine developments. So Pfizer did get some positive news, basically with a whole new COVID-19, basically some positive COVID-19 results on their end. The Dow and the S&P 500 each gained nearly 0.6%, with the latter reaching a 5-month high. The NASDAQ and the Russell 2000 each gained 0.2% on the day. So overall, it looks like we had, so far at least through Wednesday, we had a very good day in the market. A lot of positivity in the market. But then on Thursday, stocks ended a 4-day run last Thursday, falling to their lowest levels in a week. An unanticipated rise in unemployment claims and lower than expected earnings reports from some major tech companies contributed to the decline. Stock prices fell for some of the major market players, including Amazon, Alphabet, or Google for short, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, and Tesla. So basically the FANG stocks as well as Tesla. The NASDAQ plunged 2.3%, followed by the Dow, which fell 1.3%. The S&P 500 dropped 1.2%. Crude oil prices, the dollar, and treasury yields all declined. Equities ended last week on a sour note, with each of the benchmark or each of the indexes essentially losing value. The Russell 2000 dropped 1.5% on the day, followed by the NASDAQ, which was down 0.9%. The Dow was down 0.7%, Global Dow down 0.7%, the S&P 500 down 0.6%. Investors seem concerned over escalating discord between the United States and China, disappointing earnings reports, and the likelihood of more fiscal stimulus. So basically, investors got scared like they usually do, and the stock market went down. The reasons why they got scared was because of trade tensions between the U.S. and China. Has been going on for a long time now. Disappointing earnings reports, as if that wasn't expected already. And then also, there was some battle with the whole new stimulus package, the second round of stimulus. That's expected to come out very soon. So last week saw the run of solid market gains, and as each of the benchmark indexes essentially posted losses. The NASDAQ, which had strung together several weeks of gains, fell back for the second consecutive week. The large caps of the Dow and the S&P 500 also lagged after advancing for 3 consecutive weeks. Year to date, the NASDAQ is still ahead of its 2019 closing value, while the S&P 500 is within 0.5% of breaking even. The Dow, Global Dow, and the Russell 2000 remain well off their respective 2019 closing marks. Price of crude oil went up $40.58 per barrel to $41.18 per barrel. And then also the price of COMEX gold went up. So gold is actually soaring this year. Went up $18.12.20 to $18.99.60. So gold is doing pretty good this year. So far this year, what's happened is that the Dow Jones is down 7.25%. NASDAQ, which is mainly composed of technology stocks such as Amazon, Apple, Tesla, and all these other giant tech companies, is up 15.5%. So while the rest of the world is down, this index, the NASDAQ, technology stocks, is up 15.50%, which is huge. The S&P 500 is down 0.47%. The Russell 2000 is down 12.04%. The Global Dow is down 9.05%. And the federal funds target rate is ultimately is at 0% ultimately. So that's something to keep in mind ultimately. And then to look on the week ahead, let me just make sure 1 second. Yep. So basically, to look on the week ahead, basically the last week of July will focus on the first estimate for the second quarter gross domestic product, which is huge. Basically will let us know if we're in a recession or not, essentially. Which, I mean, if you might have guessed, we are actually in a recession. So just keep that in mind. The GDP decreased 5.0% in the first quarter of 2020. So that's huge. Right? 2 straight quarters of declining GDP means we are in a recession, officially. So basically, that's something that it may happen. It is highly likely to happen. But let's see what happens. The June report on personal income and spending is out at the end of the week. Not unexpectedly, personal income fell by 4.2% in May, but consumer spending increased 8.2%. The June tally should show better numbers for income as many businesses ramped up operations last month. So there you have it. This week it's expected that the GDP results will come in for Q2. Q1 was terrible. We were at negative 5%. the first time in 10 years that's happened where we're in the negative. And if we get one more quarter, meaning if Q2 comes out negative as well, then we are officially tabbed what you call a recession. 2 straight quarters of decline in GDP. Doesn't really mean a whole lot. It just means we're doing bad. And then one thing too, so a quick announcement, the Badu Foundation officially has launched. So we ultimately are, basically we're up and running, we're live. We're looking for partners, we're looking for sponsors. You can check out the website, badufoundation.org. So you can feel free to check us out. Our first program will be launched, or our first program will be held this upcoming Saturday, and also next Saturday. It's a 2-week fast track course for basically enhancing the financial literacy education of the youth ages 6 through 18. We're literally teaching folks who are between the ages of 6 through 18, and we're helping them get literate. So we're putting them through a fast track. We'll be covering budgeting, saving, investing, and scholarships. Those are the 4 topics. We'll be pushing 2 topics per day, so it's basically 2 Saturdays. Our program is meant to last 4 weeks, but due to the timing of the launch, there were some delays, unfortunately, due to COVID-19. So we decided to make it a 2-week fast track. That way we still launch this year. We still have a program that we can host. We're only accepting 10 students. We already have 3 students that we've confirmed for the program. Please fill out an application by this Friday. And as long as you do that, if you meet the qualifications, then you'll ultimately be able to get into the program. And whoever demonstrates that they're the most financially literate will actually get a $500 scholarship to a college of their choice. It will be earmarked to the college of their choice, basically. Which all that means is that once they decide to go to college, and the moment they get accepted into a college and they say, hey, I'm going to this college, we'll essentially send the money directly to that school so that it can fund their college education. So we're raising funds. I believe this should be live pretty soon, but we have a $5,000 fundraiser on Facebook. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so any and all donations are definitely appreciated and accepted. So with that being said, let's get into the topic for today. I mean, these books truly mean a lot to me. They really help revamp everything that I do in life, the way that I think, the way that I go about financial decisions. These are the types of books that have really, really helped elevate me financially. Without reading these books, I wouldn't be anywhere I am today. So I attribute a lot of my success to these 5 books that I'm about to tell you right now. I personally went ahead and wrote 3 books, so I'll be telling you what those books are, how you can benefit from them, where you can purchase them, and there's more coming out. There's always more in my world. It never stops, it never ends. There's always more, and then I'll give you some additional books in case you need more to read. So for me, I read about 30 books a year. Now, when I say read, I literally mean that I listen to 30 books a year, because I'm a better listener than I'm a reader. I can listen to something, but as far as reading it, my attention span is not the best. So for me, I love listening to things. So I use an app called Audible. Audible allows you to download books. Your first book is free. So I actually read my first book on Audible for free. Basically, you're listening to the book. I mean, whether you are in the shower, whether you're brushing your teeth, whether you're eating. That's what I do when I have quote-unquote downtime, or when I have time where I'm doing something that doesn't require my intense focus. Then I turn on an audiobook where I can be tuned in at the same time. I mean, if I'm doing a tax return, then I certainly I cannot listen to an audiobook, because those 2 things require intense focus. So that's my trick, is that anything that does not require intense focus, I tend to listen to an audiobook at the same time, such as brushing your teeth, taking a shower, eating. Things that you just naturally do without like being too thoughtful about it, like a tax return or responding to an email. So for me, what I do is I listen to audiobooks. You download the Audible app. The app itself is free. And then after your first book, you pay a subscription fee. Right? It's well worth it. I read about 30 books. 30 books that are relevant to my field or relevant to what I'm looking to do. So here's my top 5 that I've read. The first one, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And if you're not taking notes, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I strongly encourage you to take notes right now. So Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad is a book that I strongly recommend you read. It has benefited me tremendously. So that's something to keep in mind. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was a book written about Robert Kiyosaki and how he gained his financial education. Some tips and tricks that he has. He basically had a quote-unquote rich dad, and then he had a quote-unquote poor dad. His poor dad, ironically, was his biological dad, and then his rich dad was his friend's dad. His rich dad taught him a lot of important financial lessons, such as starting a business, such as not working for money, but letting money work for you. What's truly an asset. An asset is something that produces you income, and a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. So basically, just retooling your mind to allow you to see how finances truly work. Basically, just dismantling the whole concept that your house is an asset. On the books it is, but it's also a liability because you have a mortgage and a lot of things that drain money out of your pocket each and every month. It also teaches you how to increase your income. So how to create multiple income streams. Teaches you about the quadrants. You have the left side, the right side. You have the business owner. You have the employee, which pays the highest taxes. The small business owner, which pays pretty high taxes. You know, if you're a small business owner and you don't really know how the tax system works, you pay a lot of taxes. Then you have the big business owner, right, which pays basically no taxes or very little in taxes, such as Amazon. And then you have the real estate investor, which pays no taxes whatsoever. So he teaches you how the tax system works so that you can keep more money in your pocket. So if he did anything at all, that's something he definitely did. And then he also allows you to see really how to be on the up and up when it comes to finances. Basically, letting you know some of the myths out there when it comes to finances, about why mutual funds might not be the best investment in the world, why your 401k might not be the best thing. It's a great way to start, but it might not be the best investment for your retirement per se, or a pension. He talks about so many lessons, how he failed, how he became successful, how real estate has truly created wealth for him. It is a book that is worth billions of dollars, in my opinion, and everybody on the planet should read it. And in case you didn't know, anybody who enrolls in the Badu Foundation program must read that book. It is a requirement that if you're going to go through one of our programs, that you read this book. It will change the way you think about money for the rest of your life. It changed the way I think about money. It allowed me to go from one business to 12 businesses now as of 2020. My mind was always focused on one business, right? And possibly, something on the side such as real estate. Little did I know I can expand this into 12 different businesses that are generating constant cash flow. He teaches you how cash flow is the number one game to be playing on this planet. When you have money coming in that you don't even have to work for, or sometimes you have to work for it, that is the most powerful thing you can do for your finances. It's just having consistent cash flow coming in. Cash flow is king. Not cash, but cash flow is king. Some people think cash sitting in the bank is king. Absolutely not. It is the flow of the money that is coming in, cash flow, that is the king, not the cash itself. So that's a very, very, very powerful book that I encourage everybody to check out. Get a hold of it, read, spend some time, the time that we all don't have nowadays. Take some time, dedicate it, read the book. It will teach you quite a lot. Now, the second book that I recommend everybody read is Cash Flow Quadrant. Cash Flow Quadrant is basically the part 2 of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Cash Flow Quadrant gets a little deeper into the quadrants: the employee, the small business owner, the big business owner, and then ultimately the real estate investor. It really goes deep into how the left side of the quadrant, the employees and the small business owner, pays a lot in taxes. Now, he's not saying don't be an employee. He's not saying don't start a small business. But what he is encouraging you to do is to get on the right side. The right side is a big business, one with 500 or more employees, and then also being an investor. That way you can channel all of your income into your investments so that you don't pay any taxes, and you can get more cash flow streaming and flowing right into your pocket and your bank account every single month. So he goes deeper into the 4 quadrants. He shares examples about how he used to be on the left side of the quadrant and now he's on the right side of the quadrant. He doesn't pay any income taxes or barely anything. And as you may know, companies like Amazon don't either. So he really goes deep in talking about how the rich get richer because they keep more of their money, and the quote-unquote poor get poorer because they're always spending their money and they're not getting anything streaming in. The reason why a lot of people are quote-unquote broke or in one missed paycheck away from financial distress is because they don't have multiple streams of income, and also they don't necessarily have the know-how or the business or the investment that can protect them and shield them from the taxes. That way, once they do make their money, they're able to shield it from taxes. Taxes are very important. It can eat up to 40% of a person's budget, which is huge. Some people even higher. 40%. If you don't think it's true, just look at your paycheck and run some numbers. Look at how much you paid in federal taxes. Look how much you paid in state taxes. Look how much you paid in FICA, which is basically Social Security and Medicare. Look how much you're paying in all these different taxes. And you come to the realization that you're probably paying about 40%, if not higher. The average tax rate in the U.S., as a matter of fact, is 60%. Right now, the highest tax rate in the U.S. is 37%. The highest tax rate in the U.S. of all time is 94% back in 1944 when the wars were happening. So it is very critical to read a book like this. I'm a tax professional, and I learned so much from this book. So I can imagine what a non-tax professional or what a non-financial professional can learn from a book such as this. Take notes, pause it, highlight it, do whatever you need. It is utmost critical. Stop spending so much time at work doing something that's not giving you the results that you truly want. Now, spend time at work, but don't spend so much time to the point where all you're doing is you're working. I know people with 3 jobs, and they're still not financially ahead today. So it is very important. When it comes to money, it's a principle. It's a lesson. It is a skill that you learn. It is not about working hard. It's about working smart. And it is about utilizing resources such as time and money. That's what I've learned about money. It is merely a tool that essentially you have to, money in itself is a tool, but there's a skill set of money management that we all must master. And I'm telling you, with COVID-19 and everything happening, the world is not looking too good. And that is why the Badu Foundation was created, to help the youth between ages 6 through 18 gain that financial literacy education so that they don't make the same mistake that their parents made, the same mistake that I made, the same mistake that their peers are going to make in life. That is the goal of the foundation, to enhance the financial literacy, knowledge, and education of the youth. And then also we'll be launching a homeless program where we teach the homeless how to restore their finances. That one won't be launched until either next year, depending on COVID-19, because we do need to physically be in the presence. We do need to physically be there for the homeless group due to the limitations and the restrictions and everything like that. So we might not launch that until 2021 and possibly 2022, depending on whether this virus will get out the air or not. So that's something that we're being cognizant of, and we don't want to inconvenience anybody when it comes to this. Now let's talk about the third book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You might be wondering, this is not a finance book. So how does this even relate to finances? But when it comes to money, money is also a psychological game. You need to learn how to play the game well. And in any game that I've played in life, you have to master the mental side of the game. It can't just be the technical aspect of the game. You have to master the mental side of it too. So How to Win Friends and Influence People, my goodness. This book has changed everything. People ask me, oh, why are you so calm and relaxed? I said, I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Oh, why don't you ever get angry? Because I read How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right? It's a book that really teaches you to calm down, first of all. Take a step back and really go into that conversation, that relationship with intention, with profound focus, with a profound goal that you are going to win that conversation, that relationship, as opposed to arguing, right? Arguing doesn't solve anything. An argument doesn't solve anything. However, constructive feedback or criticism and intellectual conversations, those solve things, not an argument. An argument where two people are fighting back and forth doesn't solve anything. An argument when two people are angry does not solve anything. So this book literally tells you that don't ever argue with anybody. Like ever. Do not ever argue with anybody. For me, I don't argue. If somebody brings up an argument, I say, I respectfully disagree. Right? And let's leave it at that. Now, you can always make your case for why you think something should go a certain way, but you should not argue with somebody. You should not clash with somebody. The reason why so many people are failing today at this game called life is because they're angry, they're always arguing, and they don't know how to manage conversations and relationships. That's the problem in today's age. This book will help you solve that problem. Hopefully solve that problem. And it is utmost critical when you're going into a business relationship with somebody and talking to a client and talking to a colleague, a coworker, a partner, whoever it is. Reading this book will really teach you that you need to calm down when you're talking to people. There's certain terms you need to avoid saying when you're talking to somebody. There's certain things you want to avoid doing when you're talking to somebody. You don't argue with people. It makes no sense to argue with anybody. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. You waste much more energy arguing with somebody than simply saying, that's it. I've had it. If it's no, it's a no. I mean, honestly, like if a client doesn't want to work with you, that's fine. You don't have to work with every single client on the planet. Now you can lay out why it is that your firm should be chosen for this engagement, or why is it that your product or service is better than the next person next to you. But we don't chase clients after we read a book like this. We don't chase clients. Like ever. Don't chase clients. Don't argue with people. Take a very calm approach to life. Kick back and relax. Life is not as serious as you think it is. Relax. Right? That's what this book is teaching you. It's saying, relax. Right? These are the tools and the tricks to maintaining a great relationship. It teaches you some negotiation skills too. You'll be surprised what you'll learn in this book. It is not a personal finance book by definition, but we need to have a mental framework that everything will be fine. Becoming a wealth builder, you need to learn how to control relationships. You need to learn how to influence people. You need to learn how to win clients, and this book will teach you how to do that. The more clients you win, the more money comes into your pocket. You can apply the same concept to tenants. And if a tenant is mad, don't go ahead and scream at that tenant. It doesn't solve anything. Listen to the problem. Right? He talks in his book about why it is important to listen. You're born with 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use it as such. Don't be the person that talks the most in a conversation. Be the person that talks the least. The one who talks the least usually wins the negotiation, wins the deal. Try to stay factual. Try to stay on track. Try to get to the point. The more you baffle and bland all these sort of details, they don't do anything for you but hurt you in a relationship. Keep things concise. Keep it to the point. Elaborate where you need to or where you can. But basically, have a calm approach. Don't say too much in your discussions. And when I get on the phone with somebody that's just, they're just rambling, I'm like, they've clearly not read this book. That says do not talk a lot, basically. And everybody has their own personality. Some people are outgoing. Some people are extroverts, introverts. You can still be an extrovert, but you have to learn how to manage relationships and manage conversations. It's very important to do this stuff. So How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is a book that once you read it, when you're reading it, take notes. Be patient with the book. Pause it. Do whatever. Practice in the mirror. It will teach you so much in life. You'll be surprised. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Very, 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 very powerful book. And I included it purposefully on the list of financial books to read because it will bring more money into your pocket after reading this book. This applies to Uber drivers. Right? This applies to barbers. This applies to pastors. This applies to anybody. Anybody can benefit from this book. The next book is The Power of Broke by Daymond John. My goodness. Talk about powerful. When I read this book, I wasn't the brokest person on the planet. However, I wasn't at the stage in business where I can say, oh, I've quote unquote made it, or I'm financially successful. I read this book, I believe, at the age of 24. Basically, it was shortly after launching Badu Tax Services. And this book just tells you that when you don't have a whole lot, right, when you haven't started, when you weren't just given something, that you need to push hard. Your only choice in life is to go out and get it, even if you're quote unquote broke. And in this sense, he means financially broke. And in a way, if you're mentally broke too, right, you need to just keep pushing. This man created a whole company basically out of his, out of a van that he was driving. It was he was doing some sort of service where he would drive people around, and next thing you know, he was he was selling items in there. So this book really teaches you how to push hard and how to get the best out of life. How to be the best you possible and how to never settle. And most importantly, when you make it, quote unquote, when you get there, don't stop there. Keep pushing. Daymond John is still a very successful business owner today, even after running a very successful company called Fubu, which unfortunately did end up going bust. But it was very, very successful for a very long time. So Daymond John is really teaching you how to make something out of nothing. So he's one of those stories that you want to read about somebody who became a millionaire and actually struggled to get there, actually went through some trials and tribulations. He shares everything he went through about how he was living with his mother and all that stuff. This is a book that really tells you, hey, if all you have is making ends meet, you can still push for more. You can build billion-dollar companies if you push hard for what it is you want in life. So this is more of an inspirational, motivational book. And the reason why it's important as it relates to finances is because you have to be persistent. Why is it that most people that win the lottery go bankrupt? Is because there's not that persistency is not there. They just win, they go out, they blow it, and then boom, it's all gone. There's no persistent effort to make more of it. When you make more money, you should strive to make more of it. You should not strive to make less of it. Right? You should keep pushing, keep putting streams of income in your pocket. There's nothing wrong with being wealthy. Nothing wrong at all. As a matter of fact, if you go back to the biblical, it was actually our destiny. It is our birthright to live in abundance. Like literally. Some people think we were meant to live in poverty. We were meant to punch 3 clocks. We were meant to struggle. Absolutely not. I'm not about that life. I'm about the abundance life. I'm about the having as much as I possibly can type of life. I'm about working hard and working smart. I'm about going to get it. And so ultimately, that's the way that, a book like this, a book like The Power of Broke, just goes in there and says, you need to go out and get it. Right? Push hard every single day. And then last but not least, Money Master the Game by my main man, Tony Robbins. I mean, love this guy. He is the most inspirational person I have ever met in my life. I mean, this guy will push you hard. The man has a brain tumor. The man is like, he pushes so much force out. Like, he gives it his all. That you can tell just by reading the book alone, just from hearing him speak, that he's really, really about it. Like, he is pumped. This man wakes up and is just pumped. He's one of those naturally pumped people. But the book itself teaches you the principles of money. Some of the myths out there that you really need to pay attention to about money. He interviews some of the top financial experts on the planet, including Warren Buffett. Right? Including a lot of these billionaires out there. And he asked them their opinion or their factual sense about money. And he lays it all out there. He lays it all out there about what types of investments should you be in. What types of investments are the little guys or the average individual being sold that they shouldn't be sold right now? And what type of investments can you take advantage of if you're starting small so that you can get big? And then when you do get big, what kind of investments are available to you? So this book is very critical. He even gives you resources such as his money app that allows you to play the game of money and teaches you what it means to be financially free. So this book is, it's very, 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 very important. Very important. I highly recommend you read it. It will break a lot of the myths about money. A lot of the things that you've been sold. A lot of false information that you've been told. And some of those things we talk about on the radio station about why you should be investing in exchange traded funds as opposed to mutual funds. Right? Why you should be in real estate as opposed to owning a REIT, a real estate investment trust. So that's, these are, they're not necessarily simple per se to the average individual, but they're simple enough that once you find out about it, you can actually implement it. So these are my top 5 personal finance books. Highly recommend you all read it. It has changed my life truly in a lot of different ways. You have Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Cash Flow Quadrant, the part 2 of Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. You also have How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. The Power of Broke by Damon John. Last but not least, Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. And then as a bonus, I went ahead and wrote 3 books on personal finance and abundance creating. The first one that I wrote was The Legendary Asset, 6 Reasons Why You Should Own Real Estate. That book was written in 2018 on essentially why you should be investing in real estate. Why is real estate such a powerful asset? Why do you hear about it all the time? Why is it that 9 out of 10 millionaires got there because of real estate? Second book I wrote is 7 Figures, How to Become a Millionaire. Just sharing my journey as well as the principles out there, right? Basically, this is me pouring my heart out and telling you what you need to know about how to become a millionaire, how to hit the 7-figure mark as far as net worth is concerned. Those 2 books can be purchased on my website, jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. One thing to keep in mind, all contributions or all purchases go directly to the Badu Foundation. So literally any book that's purchased on that website, all the proceeds automatically go to the Badu Foundation. And then last but not least, wrote this book this year. Ironically, was written before the pandemic, but was timed perfectly for a pandemic. It is called Infinite Expansion, How to Infinitely Expand Your Vision of Abundance. It is available right now on Amazon. We're having a book launch next Wednesday. So not this Wednesday, but the following Wednesday after that. You can check it out on Eventbrite. We have the event. Just type in Infinite Expansion. And yeah, the book is available right now on Amazon. When it first came out, it was literally the #1 book in the education finance category. So it was the #1 new release in that category. So I do encourage you all to check out that book. You will learn a lot. Check out the other books as well. Right, the first 2 books can be purchased on the website, jeffbadu.com. The third book can be purchased on Amazon. So Infinite Expansion, How to Infinitely Expand Your Vision of Abundance. I literally poured my heart and soul into that book. Highly encourage you all to read it. Other books to check out are books written by Robert Kiyosaki. I mean, these are all great books. You know, he has Rich Kid, Smart Kid. He has the real book on real estate. I mean, he has a lot of different books you can check out. Robert Kiyosaki is a fabulous finance instructor, professional. And then you can also check out people like Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone, I think he's written great books. The 10X Rule, powerful book on how to sell. You know, he's written a lot of great books. So ultimately, Grant Cardone is a great author. And there's a lot of other fabulous authors out there too. I mean, a lot of good personal finance books. The good thing about these books is that once you start reading them, they start recommending more to you. Right, Bigger Pockets. You have Brandon Turner, who's written books on rental properties. If you want to learn how to become a rental property investor, I've learned a ton from Brandon Turner, and I've learned a ton just from reading that book. So in life, ultimately, I'll wrap it up and say, in life, you must get educated. The more educated you are, the more successful you will become, especially if you focus on a topic that you want to learn about, such as for me, it's about money. So if you want to attain that success or that financial freedom, you have to go out and check out some of these books. So I'll wrap it up here, or I'll leave it here. And thank you all for tuning in to WJC 98.3 FM, your voice and music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you awesome content. We'll be back same place, same time next week. Hope you all take care, and please stay safe. Thank you.